Welcome back to. Before you spend that old Jefferson nickel sitting in your change jar, take a closer look. That small 5-cent coin may look ordinary, but collectors know that certain dates, mint marks, conditions, and errors can make an everyday nickel much more interesting. Today on Hardest Penny, we're taking a detailed look at the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that millions of people have probably seen without realizing what makes it worth examining. 1981 P. Jefferson nickel. The 1981 P. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and carries the small P. mint mark, identifying Philadelphia as its production facility. The coin features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with the words Liberty, the date 1981, and the traditional mint mark appearing around the portrait. On the reverse, you'll see Jefferson's historic home, Monticello, along with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, 5 cents, and Monticello. At first glance, this looks like just another common nickel from the early 1980s. And that is an important point for every collector to understand. Not every 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is rare, and not every example is worth a huge amount of money. Most circulated examples are generally worth close to their face value. However, coins are not always valued simply by their age. Collectors look at several factors, including preservation, strike quality, surface condition, errors, varieties, and overall eye appeal. That means the nickel in your pocket deserves a closer inspection before you automatically spend it. One of the biggest factors affecting the value of a 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is condition. Imagine two identical coins minted in the same year at the same facility. One has spent decades circulating through stores. This is where the grading system becomes extremely important. Coins are commonly graded on a scale that ranges from heavily worn circulated examples to extremely high-grade uncirculated pieces. A circulated 1981 P nickel may show where across Jefferson's portrait, hair, cheek, and the reverse details of Monticello. An uncirculated example, however, can retain much more of its original mint appearance. For collectors, high-grade examples are especially interesting because finding older coins in exceptional condition can be much harder than simply finding the date. Another important feature to examine is the mint mark. On a 1981 Jefferson nickel, the P tells us that the coin was produced at Philadelphia. This is significant because mint marks help collectors distinguish coins produced at different United States mint facilities. If your nickel does not have a P, don't automatically assume that it is rare. Other 1981 Jefferson nickels were produced at other facilities, and the mint mark is only one part of the identification process. Now let's talk about something that can make an ordinary coin much more interesting: mint errors. During the minting process, coins travel through multiple stages. Blank planchets are prepared, struck with dies, inspected, transported, and eventually released into circulation. Because the process involved enormous quantities of coins and complex machinery, mistakes can occasionally occur. A genuine mint error can attract collectors because it represents an unusual event in the production process. Possible errors can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die-related problems, doubled features, missing design elements, or other unusual characteristics. But there is a major warning here. Damage that happens after a coin leaves the mint is not the same thing as a genuine mint error. For example, scratches, dents, discoloration, chemical damage, and intentional alterations can sometimes make a coin look unusual. These problems usually do not create the kind of premium collectors associate with authentic mint errors. So if you believe your 1981 P. Jefferson nickel has an unusual feature, don't rush to clean it or modify it. Keep the coin in its current condition and compare the feature with reliable numismatic references or have it examined by an experienced professional. And that brings us to one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make: cleaning valuable coins. So if you discover an interesting 1981 P nickel, leave it alone. Don't scrub it. Don't polish it. Don't use household chemicals. Simply protect it from further damage. Another thing to examine carefully is the reverse of the coin. Jefferson's Monticello design contains many small details, and the quality of the strike can vary. Look at the building, the steps, the columns, and the surrounding lettering. On an exceptionally well-preserved coin, these details can remain sharp and attractive. Also inspect the obverse. Jefferson's hair, cheek, jawline, and the lettering around the portrait can reveal how much where the coin has experienced. Hold the coin under good lighting and slowly rotate it. Original mint luster can sometimes move across the surface as the angle changes. But remember, shine alone does not prove a coin is valuable. Artificially polished coins can also appear shiny. What matters is the combination of originality, preservation, strike quality, and other collectible characteristics. Now let's discuss the question everyone wants answered. Could 1981 P. Jefferson nickel make you rich? For most examples, the realistic answer is no. A normal circulated 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is not generally a $1 million coin simply because it has the 1981 date. Viral coin videos sometimes attach enormous values to ordinary coins, but collectors should separate entertainment from verified market evidence. The exciting part is that this doesn't make the coin worthless. Coin collecting is about identifying the exceptional examples hidden among ordinary pieces. A coin can become significantly more desirable because of an unusual error, exceptional grade, rare condition, or another legitimate collectible characteristic. That is why coin hunters examine rolls, jars, collections, estate finds, and old change. The goal is not to assume every old nickel is a fortune. The goal is to learn how to recognize the coins that deserve a second look. If you have a 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, start by identifying it correctly. Confirm the date. Confirm the P mint mark. Check whether it has circulation wear. Examine both sides under good lighting. Look for unusual doubling, missing details, dramatic off-center striking, clipped areas, or other features that appear to be connected to the manufacturing process rather than post-mint damage. Then compare your coin with trustworthy references and auction records before assigning a value. Condition is especially important. A heavily circulated example with scratches and worn details may have little premium over face value. A pristine example with excellent surfaces can be much more interesting to collectors. The highest grades are often where competition becomes stronger because relatively few coins survive at truly exceptional quality. There's also an important lesson here for anyone beginning a coin collection. Don't judge a coin only by its age. A 1981 nickel is more than 4 decades old today, but age alone doesn't make it rare. Millions of coins can survive from a particular year. Rarity depends on factors such as surviving population, condition, varieties, errors, and collector demand. And that is exactly why the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel is worth learning about. It represents an important period in modern American coinage, carries the history of the Philadelphia Mint, and gives collectors an opportunity to practice the skills that matter across the entire hobby. So before you toss that 1981 P. Jefferson nickel into a vending machine, take a few seconds to inspect it. Look closely at Jefferson's portrait. Check the date. Find a P mint mark. Study Monticello. Examine the surfaces. Look for anything genuinely unusual. And most importantly, don't let an ordinary appearance fool you into skipping the inspection. Sometimes the most interesting coins aren't the ones that immediately scream rare. Sometimes they are the quiet, familiar coins that sit unnoticed in a collection for decades. If you enjoy discovering old coins, rare coin possibilities, valuable Jefferson nickels, Lincoln wheat pennies, and other fascinating pieces of American numismatic history, make sure you're following Hardest Penny for more coin hunting stories and collector tips. And remember, a 5-cent coin is still 5 cents until the evidence proves otherwise. The real treasure is knowing what to look for. So check your 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, protect it, never clean it. And if you believe you've discovered a genuine error or an unusually high-grade example, consider getting a professional opinion before making any decision about its value. Because the next coin you pull from your pocket might not be a fortune, but it could be the coin that makes you look twice at every piece of change you receive from now on. What if a 5-cent coin sitting in your pocket right now is hiding a detail that collectors would love to find? Before you spend your next Jefferson nickel, stop for a moment and look at the date. If you find a 1990p Jefferson nickel, don't immediately assume it's just another ordinary coin. Most examples are common and worth around face value, but coins from this era can still become interesting when they have exceptional condition, unusual minting characteristics, or legitimate errors. Today on Hardest Penny, we're taking a close look at the 1990p Jefferson nickel and showing you exactly what to examine before you put it back into circulation. Because in coin collecting, the difference between an ordinary nickel and a collectible nickel can sometimes be hidden in the smallest details. 1990p Jefferson nickel. The 1990p Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and carries the P mint mark on the obverse. The coin features the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, facing left, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," the year 1990, and the P mint mark. On the reverse is Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home, surrounded by the inscriptions "E Pluribus Unum," United States of America, 5 cents, and Monticello. At first glance, there is nothing dramatic about this coin. It is a modern Jefferson nickel from the early 1990s, and large numbers were produced for everyday commerce. That means the majority of 1990p nickels you encounter will not be rare treasures. However, that doesn't mean you should ignore them. The real lesson of the 1990p Jefferson nickel is that collectors don't simply search for old coins. They search for unusual coins, high-quality coins, and coins with characteristics that separate them from the millions of ordinary examples. The first thing you should check is the condition. A coin that has spent years circulating will normally show scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and wear. Jefferson's cheek may have visible marks, his hair may appear less detailed, and the high points of the design can become smooth. The reverse can also show wear around Monticello and the surrounding lettering. Now compare that with a coin that has never circulated. An uncirculated 1990p Jefferson nickel can retain its original mint luster, sharper details, and cleaner surfaces. These coins are much more interesting to collectors, especially when they reach higher grades. But there's something important to understand about grading. A coin does not become valuable simply because it looks shiny. Some coins have been cleaned, polished, or chemically treated. That can create an unnatural appearance and reduce collector appeal. Original surfaces are usually much more desirable than artificially brightened surfaces. So if you discover a beautiful 1990p Jefferson nickel, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't use metal cleaner. Don't rub it with a cloth. Simply handle it carefully by the edges and protect it from additional damage. Next, look closely at the mint mark. The P is important because it identifies the Philadelphia Mint. Mint marks are a basic but essential part of coin identification. They help collectors determine where a coin was produced and distinguish it from other versions of the same date. Once you've confirmed the 1990 date and P mint mark, inspect the entire coin rather than focusing on only one feature. Start with Jefferson's portrait. Look at the hair, forehead, cheek, jaw, and lettering. Examine the date carefully. Check the Liberty inscription and the P mint mark. Look for anything that appears doubled, distorted, unusually weak, or incorrectly positioned. Then turn the coin over. Monticello is one of the most important areas to examine on the reverse. Look carefully at the building, columns, steps, and lettering. Check the edges of the design for anything unusual. Why does this matter? Because coins are manufactured at enormous speed, and the minting process involves blanks, dies, presses, and mechanical equipment. When something goes wrong during production, a coin can sometimes leave the mint with a genuine error. Mint errors can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, die breaks, broad strikes, and other unusual manufacturing characteristics. Some errors are subtle, while others can be immediately obvious. However, you must be careful when identifying an error. A coin that has been damaged after leaving the mint is not necessarily a valuable mint error. For example, a nickel that has been crushed, scratched, drilled, heated, chemically altered, or struck by another object may look unusual, but that does not mean the mint made the mistake. This is one reason serious collectors compare suspicious coins with known examples and seek professional opinions when necessary. The 1990p Jefferson nickel can also be interesting because condition becomes increasingly important as you move toward higher grades. Think about how many nickels have passed through the hands of millions of people since 1990. Coins were dropped on sidewalks, placed in pockets with keys, carried in purses, pushed through vending machines, stored in cash registers, and mixed together in jars. Every one of those events could leave a mark. Finding a 1990p nickel with remarkably clean surfaces after more than 3 decades is therefore much more interesting than finding one that is heavily worn. Look for contact marks across Jefferson's face and neck. Check the fields around the portrait. Examine the reverse for scratches across Monticello. Pay attention to the rim and lettering. A coin with fewer distractions can have stronger collector appeal. Don't rely on a single overhead light. Use bright, indirect lighting and rotate the coin slowly. This can help reveal scratches, surface problems, doubling, and changes in luster that may not be obvious when the coin is held flat. A magnifying glass can help too, but don't become so focused on microscopic details that you miss the bigger picture. Collectors generally start with identification, then condition, then unusual characteristics. Now comes the question that brings many people to coin collecting. How much could a 1990p Jefferson nickel be worth? The answer depends entirely on the individual coin. A normal circulated example is generally not a high-value rarity. Its primary value is usually its face value, unless it has another characteristic that makes it desirable. An uncirculated example may be worth more depending on its grade and collector demand. A particularly high-grade coin can attract more attention, while a verified major mint error could potentially be considerably more collectible. This is why it is dangerous to attach a giant price tag to every 1990p nickel. You may see online videos claiming that a particular ordinary nickel is worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Always ask what makes that exact coin valuable. Is there a documented error? Is the coin professionally graded? Is there a verified auction sale? Is the price based on an actual transaction or simply an internet claim? Those questions can protect you from unrealistic expectations. If you believe your 1990p Jefferson nickel is unusual, take clear photographs of both sides and the edge. Avoid altering the coin. Compare it with reputable numismatic references, and, if the feature appears significant, consider having the coin examined by a qualified professional. The edge deserves attention as well. The Jefferson nickel has a plain edge rather than the reeded edge found on many other U.S. denominations. Check for unusual damage or characteristics, but remember that post-mint damage can happen easily along the edge because coins are constantly exposed to impact. Another smart habit is to separate potentially interesting coins from ordinary change. If you're searching a jar full of nickels, don't repeatedly handle the same coins unnecessarily. Set aside anything with an unusual appearance and examine it later under better lighting. This keeps the process organized and reduces accidental damage. The 1990p Jefferson nickel is also a reminder that coin collecting doesn't have to begin with expensive purchases. You can start with the coins already around you. Look at nickels from different decades. Compare dates and mint marks. Learn how the designs changed. Study the difference between circulation wear and mint damage. Learn what authentic errors look like. Gradually, you'll develop an eye for coins that deserve a closer examination. And that's what makes a coin like the 1990p Jefferson nickel worth discussing. It may not be a rare treasure simply because of its date, but can teach you exactly how collectors think. They don't look at a coin and immediately ask, "Is this worth a fortune?" They ask, "What exactly am I looking at? Is it the correct date? Is the mint mark genuine? Is the coin circulated or uncirculated? Are the surfaces original? Does the strike look normal? Is the unusual feature a real mint error or damage? Is there documented evidence of collector demand?" Those questions are far more valuable than any sensational price claim. So the next time you receive a Jefferson nickel, don't automatically throw it into your spending pile. Turn it over. Check the date. Look for the P mint mark. Study Jefferson's portrait. Examine Monticello. Inspect the surfaces. And if something looks genuinely unusual, set the coin aside and investigate it before spending it. For most people, a 1990p Jefferson nickel will remain a 5-cent coin. But for a serious coin hunter, every nickel represents an opportunity to learn something new. And sometimes, the most exciting discovery isn't finding a coin worth a fortune. It's finding a coin with a legitimate story behind it. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep your eyes open. Here on Hard as Penny, we're not just looking at old coins. We're learning how to recognize the details that make certain coins stand out. That 1990p Jefferson nickel may look ordinary today, but before you spend it, give it one careful inspection. Because the next unusual coin you discover could be hiding in the last place you expect, right inside your pocket change.